In 2024, there were a staggering 13,790 indie game releases. Not AA, not AAA, just indie. You heard that right. So what, you might think? My game is unique and beautiful, it'll stand out, people will see it. I'm here to tell you that no, it won't, and no one will see it, unless you take action. That sucks to hear, believe me, I know, but it's true. And I'm a first-hand source, as somewhat of a failure myself. Think about it this way. If you wanted to play each game on Steam that released in 2024 alone, it would take you approximately 1,149 days to complete, or just over 3 years. The games industry is no longer an exclusive club. People now have choice. Instead of games being a commodity, it has now become a luxury. This is due to the high number of game releases combined with the poor economy at the moment. So, what can you do as an indie? How can you overcome this? Can you even survive indie game development? Well, let's have an honest chat. Strap in. Most indie games make no money. You've heard that 1,000 times before. But do you know why? Have you ever really thought about it? Also, what is failure? Failure to you is probably different than failure to a studio with 5 employees, is probably different to a company with 100 employees. How do you quantify failure and how do you record it? Let's talk about it and see what we can make of it. Why do so many indie games falter and finally fail? As a developer with multiple past failures in the harsh reality of indie games development, I've personally been through the highs and lows of indie game creation. So, get ready to hear the reason your game has failed, will fail, or is failing. Not just your marketing, but also your game's marketability. You'll always hear other developers say that marketing is the most important factor in indie success. Now, while I believe that it is a big part of the motivation, I think what's even more important is making a marketable game, making something that will market itself even when you can't or aren't. When I set out to write this video script, I thought that I would only be talking about indie games, but take a look at the industry. It's everything. Everywhere. Most games fail now. From AAA to AA to indie, success has become the outlier, not failure. There is widespread failure across the industry. It sounds really harsh when I put it like that, but it's the truth. So, let's take an in-depth look at the issue. Let's peel back the layers to uncover the multitude of factors contributing to this seemingly impossible to overcome obstacle that 95% of modern indie developers face now. So, let's look at the numbers. Year after year, the indie game market witnesses an exponential surge in new releases, saturating digital platforms with a variable tidal wave of content. Yet, amidst this ocean of offerings, only a select few manage to make a splash, leaving countless others to drift aimlessly in the currents of obscurity. In 2020, a year where many people got into indie game development for the first time, there were 9,715 indie games released. A massive number, but nothing compared to now. In 2024, that number has grown to a staggering 13,790. As I mentioned in the intro, people now have choice. So what are we supposed to do with this as indie developers? Well, we have to make them choose our games. So, what are some of the main factors to consider when making a game? How will I make sure it is seen by possible users? How will I prevent failure? These now well-known insights provide a sobering glimpse into the harsh realities of indie game development. From marketing challenges to project management challenges and financial constraints, the road to success is fraught with obstacles at every turn. You'll need to fight hard to overcome them. It won't be easy. So, what strategies can indie developers employ to navigate this perilous terrain and increase their chances of success? Let's take a look at some of the most vital elements to employ when making a game and selling it. Number 1. securing visibility with a robust marketing strategy. Let's consider visibility, possibly the biggest factor in whether your game will sell or not. Visibility emerges as a formidable challenge for indie developers navigating the crowded marketplaces, and they are crowded, that they wish to sell their games on. In an era where attention spans are fleeting and choices abound, as we said earlier, breaking through the noise to capture players' attention is akin to scaling a digital Everest. It can feel impossible and sometimes not even worth trying. Without effective marketing strategies, even the most innovative games risk being lost in the catalog of competing titles. With marketing, you'll need a relatively large budget to do it properly. Or you'll need someone with a lot of time to make multiple daily posts for your project, which can also cost time and money. Alternatively, you can also do it yourself, but I'm sure you'd rather just make the game. All three are viable options though. First and foremost, a robust marketing strategy is paramount. Developers must access and use the powers of social media, press coverage, and community engagement to amplify their reach and generate excitement for their projects. By building a loyal fan base and fostering anticipation for their games, developers can carve out a niche in the competitive landscape and distinguish themselves from the crowd. Your game needs to be unique and well presented to be considered by players and publishers. So, get to work on polishing its market-facing assets. Think about it this way: you are never going to play a game that you've never even heard of. Even if it looks like a really good game, you have to know it exists to even consider it. Now, take that thought and apply it to the millions and millions of possible players out there. Do they even know about your game? If not, what are you going to do about it? You'll never reach everyone, but you don't really have to. The market is big. Just aim for your niche. Get going. Number 2. Securing funding with a vertical slice. Funding is at its core the lifeblood of game development, from indie to AAA. Yet, for many indie developers, securing adequate financial resources remains a Herculean task. Without the backing of deep-pocketed investors or established publishers, even the most promising projects are left to wither over time and eventually peter out, never to see the light of day, forever relegated to the sidelines of the harsh and unforgiving gaming landscape. Securing adequate funding is paramount for sustaining long-term development efforts. Whether through crowdfunding campaigns, government grants, direct funding, angel investing, or strategic partnerships, developers must explore all available avenues to secure the financial resources needed to realize their vision. Making a game is expensive, and it's going to be extremely hard to do without the proper funds available. By cultivating relationships with investors, demonstrating the market viability of their projects and assets, and leveraging alternative funding sources, developers can bolster their chances of success in an increasingly competitive landscape. The rule of thumb is this: you either need a lot of time or a lot of money to make a good game, and most people have neither. In another video, we will talk about how to set up a vertical slice and how to present it for funding. For this one, all I'll say is this: consider doing it. Funding is usually relatively low risk and can make a big impact on your game's timelines and workforce. Just always read any publishing or funding contract well and have a legal representative read it too. Number 3. Employing disciplined project management. Maintaining disciplined project management practices is essential for navigating the rocky terrain of development. Developers must resist the allure of feature creep and prioritize the delivery of polished, high-quality experiences within realistic time frames and budget constraints. By establishing clear goals, setting achievable milestones, and adhering to a strict timeline, developers can mitigate the risks of project derailment and ensure a smoother path towards completion. This is easier said than done, but incredibly important. For many developers, when they start out, they'll play around with projects for a few years and then finally attempt something release-worthy. They'll then work on that for a few months or years and move on to something else. I know, because this was me for about 6 or 7 years, so believe me, I know. And I wish I didn't waste that time in the way that I have. The thing is, you have to structure to really make it. Set up realistic goals and timeframes and stick to them. Make hours for yourself to work in and stop treating this as a hobby. That's the only way to really become a success. It has to become a job. You have to see it as a job. It can still be fun, but it also has to be efficient. Scope management emerges as a recurring theme in the book of indie game failure. It's also common for developers to fall prey to the allure of feature creep and bloat and expansive scope, only to find themselves in a web of complexity and uncertainty. The result? Projects spiral out of control, deadlines are missed, and budgets are stretched to the breaking point. You have to avoid this. You need to make sure that you are working when you should be and spending your budget correctly. This becomes even more important when you are a solo developer. So, to conclude, while the indie game development journey is fraught with challenges, it is also brimming with opportunities for those bold enough to seize them. If you want to be an indie developer, there is really nothing stopping you. The tools exist and are free. Resources and tutorials are there and are free. Funding is achievable. Release is cheap. There has really never been a better time to be an indie developer, but it's also this opportunity that is causing the bloat we are seeing in the indie market. And it is making it harder for quality projects to stand out and find a community of their own. By embracing the lessons learned from past failures and implementing sound strategies for success, indie developers can navigate the harsh landscapes of game development and chart a course towards success and possible greatness. Thank you for watching and following along. If you have any questions, please drop them below and definitely I'll send you a response. Like and subscribe for more as we traverse and try to survive this indie dream together. Until next time, keep marketing.